Finest cards are back in MLB The Show 22. Today we just got the finest of the franchise program featuring 99s from every single team in the MLB, reliving their fantastic seasons that they had in 2022. In this video, I'm going to go over all 27 of the brand new pitcher cards that released. There's a wide range of pitchers from starters to relievers, and I'm going to put them in ranks and tiers according to how I feel they're going to play in the meta and just in general in the game. We're going to have the tiers S+, S, A, B, C, and F tier. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up because that's just way more exciting that way. And if you guys like this video and want to see more videos like this, let me know. Leave a like down below. Leave a comment on your favorite of these pitchers. And if you think a pitcher that you like is better than I think, or vice versa. If you think a pitcher that I think is good and you think sucks, you let me know. But remember, these are all my opinions, and this is the day of release as well. So we do not know how good these cards actually are in-game yet. First off, with this 94 overall retro finest, not really a retro finest, but flashback finest, Matthew Boyd from the Detroit Tigers. Left-handed starter, 4-seam slider, circle change, curveball, 2-seam. Nothing too crazy. This card wasn't good the year he came out, and I think this was 18. No, this was 19. I think it's MLB 19. And he wasn't that good then, and he's definitely not very good now. He doesn't throw hard or anything. He's the worst pitcher that came out today, bar none. Next on this list is going to be this 97 overall Jack Flaherty from the same season. He is a lot better. He has 20 plus on the hit per 9, but Jack Flaherty might be one of the most readable pitchers in the game, especially the year that this card came out. He was not very good then. He's definitely not going to be good now. He doesn't throw super hard. The pitch mix isn't bad, and the stats are okay. If this card came out like a couple of months ago, maybe it would have been usable, but definitely not today. F tier. And the third and final card in our F tier is going to be this 97 Charlie Morton. This is when he was on the Rays in that same season. Curveball, fastball, 2-seam, slider, splitter. The mix is, again, okay. Morton's a little bit better in terms of motion than the two guys before him. It's the only reason he's the top of F tier. I wish Morton got his reliever card from the Astros. I think he had a postseason reliever card. I would have rather had that than a starting pitcher version of him, but it is what it is. Moving out of the F tier, we're getting our first brand new card today. The 2022 finest card is going to be this Shane McClanahan. If you guys have had success with Shane in the past, this card is more or less the same. His stats are just better than his all-star variant was earlier in the year. He doesn't have outlier, and his pitch mix just isn't that great. And it is definitely a right-handed dominated pitching meta, and he does not change that really at all. He's going to struggle to get righties out, and there are quite a few good righties that you guys will see in our hitter tier list when we come out with that either later today or tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly when, but yeah, Shane, he's going to be at the bottom of D tier. Next up, we got this Hunter Green. This card and the next one are exactly the same, so it's going to come down to preference as to which one is better. Maybe one of them has a better release than the other. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to go, but 113, 117 are great per 9s, and 90 ball per 9 is pretty solid. He has outlier on his fastball, but 3 pitches is not going to get it done as a starting pitcher. And outlier, just slapping it on doesn't inherently make you good. You need the other things around you, and he is kind of lacking in the extra pitches. I mean, those 2 extra pitches really would help him so much, and he doesn't have them. So Hunter Green, D tier. Next up, we got Spencer Strider. Again, the exact same card, but this one's a little bit better. He has worse control, but he has better per 9s. 121, 119 is really good. He's going to be almost maxed out per 9s at P5, which is definitely something to note. But again, only 3 pitches if you're not counting the 2-seam, which I don't think the 2-seam is that great this year. This card is really okay. If you can't hit an outlier fastball, he'll be great. But I think at this point, people can, because every good pitcher in the meta has outlier at this point. And rounding out D tier for us is going to be Logan Webb. This Logan Webb had all the makings of what it could have been a great card, but they decided to take away his cutter that his card on release day had. And he also had a postseason 99 last year that was also very, very good. He does not have a cutter now. And 4 pitches is just not going to do it when 2 of them are a sinker and a fastball, and they're the same speed. That's just not going to get it done. Moving on over to C tier is going to be another flashback card, and this is going to be Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn, the only reason he's not in D tier is because he has a great pitch mix. Sinker cutter is just what you want. I wish he had a slider. If this card had a slider, he'd probably be a little bit higher. Per-9s are pretty low, though. He is a switch hitter, so shout out to the switch hitter team. They get another dog. And Lance Lynn, welcome to the bottom of C tier. Next up, Marcus Stroman. Again, same stuff as Lance Lynn, sinker cutter. This is definitely a better pitch mix because he has a slider. I just think Stroman is super hittable. And if you're not controlling really well and you don't blow anybody away, what are you really doing, my brother? Welcome to C tier. And rounding out C tier is another brand new card today. I don't really know how to feel about this card. I feel like he might be better than C tier. He's good per 9s across the board. He's going to have great control at 110. He'll get up over 110 hit per 9, which is very solid. I don't really know how to feel about him. I think he could be better. He might be worse. I think if you get to lean one way, he could be better. That's why he's going to be at the top of C tier. This will definitely be one of those see how he kind of works out kind of cards, but he's not going to be meta breaking or anything like that. It could just be a fun option for you, especially for the Tigers fans. Coming into B tier, we have our first relief pitcher of the list. It's going to be Liam Hendriks. Liam Hendriks, I don't ever love his cards, but this one does have maxed out per 9s, and he has 5 pitches. And just having a reliever with 5 pitches is good in general. Obviously, they're not the best picks, Mitch. He might be able to get it done with how small the PCI is going to be against him. B tier. Next up in B tier is probably the first pitcher that I would consider good. It's going to be Zach Wheeler. This card came out last year, and he was really solid. His outlier on his sinker is actually a problem, in my opinion. I wish he had outlier on his 4-seam. That is actually the reason he is not any higher on this tier list. If he had it on his fastball, he would be better. But this card's not bad. Again, he has pretty much the ideal mix outside of that outlier on sinker instead of the fastball. And he gets over 110 on both BB9, hit per 9, and he hits 110 on K per 9. So this card gets pretty good the more you use them. And Zach Wheelers are never bad cards. Solid. Now, the best B tier pitcher, in my opinion, is going to be this Dylan Cease. Has a lot of good things going for it, a lot of bad things going for it. There's kind of a lot to unpack with this card, so we'll just go ahead and get into it. He has 99 velo on his fastball, but not outlier. That sucks. Outlier on this card would have been fantastic. It would have fixed the issue that I had with Zach Wheeler just before. He's a primary slider, which I think primary slider is one of the best pitches to have in his game, because I think the slider is arguably the best pitch in this game. And to have it as the primary means you have the best control and break on it. So that's really good for Dylan. He does have a sinker, although it's a completely fabricated one, which is good. They gave him one. It just doesn't have a lot of break. It's 70 break individually on the pitch. It doesn't have the best control. And Dylan Cease in general doesn't have the best control at 79 BB9, and that is the main control determining stat. But 122 hit per 9 and 112 K per 9 are nothing to scoff at all. He's going to be maxed out hit per 9. And just off that alone, he's going to be super usable, but the control and the fake sinker are super concerning, and then he doesn't have outlier. If he had all 3 of those, this card might be S tier, but he doesn't. So he's at the top of B tier. Next up, as a Yankee fan, I am a little biased in saying this, but I think a lot of you would agree that this Nestor is way better than anybody would have ever expected. Nestor Cortez had a breakout season with the Yankees, and he was a horse for them all year. And they gave him a sinker, and that's really what he needed to be even that much better in this game. 4-seam, cutter, slider, circle change, and sinker. One of the best pitch mixes you can get. He doesn't throw very hard, and that is the one bad thing about Nestor. He's really only going to throw 93, 94, maybe 95. It's enough to get it done if you guys remember the Dallas Keuchel from earlier this year, and that's really what I am basing this Nestor off of. Guys with lower velo tend to have a smaller PAR size, so he's going to completely dot you away at 106 BB9, and he's going to get maxed out hits per 9 at just parallel 4. This card's going to be sneaky good. Kind of a weird motion, so that might help. So he could wind up being worse than Dylan Cease and Zach Wheeler, but I think on paper he is better than both. The pitch mix is just better, And he has a little other fun, quirky stuff with him as well. Definitely going to be trying him and going to get him P5 just for the Yankee bias. Next up, we have our first lefty reliever on this list, and that's Drew Pomerantz. Drew Pomerantz is a really weird card. Maxed out hit and K per 9, which is amazing. His BB9 is really low, which if you guys have been paying attention to this point, it's a stat that I really like in these starting pitchers. His is really low, but he's a lefty reliever with maxed out per 9s, and he doesn't have outlier, and he's a cutter. It's a different look than the Aroldis Chapman, Billy Wagner, Jose Alvarado's, and Josh Hader's that you're constantly seeing. And I think just that, having a usable lefty, is worth its weight in gold. This card will definitely be a break of the mold kind of a guy and mix it up kind of a left-handed reliever, and I would not doubt you for using him A tier. Next up, we have one of the better pitchers that came out today and one of the best pitchers in baseball overall, Sandy Alcantara. He is a dog. He has outlier on his sinker, which I do think is a problem that Zach Wheeler had, but he's way better hit per 9, way better BB9, and I think his motion's a little bit better than Zach Wheeler. Also, having the circle change as the primary is elite. And I think this Sandy's going to be really good. He gets almost maxed out on hit per 9 at P5. He's a fast slider, which is a thing you love to see out of right-handed relievers, especially when they throw hard in general. I just wish that his four-seam had outlier instead of the sinker. If he had that, he would be amazing. And because he doesn't have that, he is just really good. He's going to be in the middle of A tier. Speaking of almost amazing, but still really good, is going to be this flashback Walker Buehler. This card was really good last year. Sinker, slider, cutter, four seam, knuckle curve. The only issue is I wish he had a changeup instead of a knuckle curve. But this card has the optimal pitch speed differentials, maybe of every card ever. His fastball is going to be going up to 100. Sinker is going to be around 95. Cutter is 93. Sliders 84. So every pitch is moving at different speeds. I do think he's slightly better than Sandy just because of the differentials. But this guy is going to be a beast. Give him a shot. Next up is maybe the surprise of the list, in my opinion, is going to be this Edwin Diaz. He's going to be in the finest collection. Maxed out per 9s, of course. He was a fantastic guy for the Mets this season. But they gave him outlier in his fastball, and then they turned his two-seamer into a sinker. And so everything that I've been saying about the outlier sinker guys is the opposite for Edwin. He has it on the fastball, not on the sinker. So the four-seam is going to go 102, and the sinker is going to max out at like 96, and even on the low end, go to like 93. So there's speed differentials on all three of his pitches. Edwin kind of has a funky delivery too. Just the fastball and the slider worked against many people on his all-star card. So if that worked, now you're throwing in a slow sinker. I think this Edwin is actually going to be really good. Fight me. Next is one of the weirder guys in the league. He had this fantastic season in 2020. Next two seasons, not so much. He was not very good. But this card was actually pretty solid in MLB The Show 20. He is a left-handed reliever with almost maxed out hit per 9, 114 K per 9. He has almost 100 BB9, so he's going to have pretty decent control. And he has that same thing that Drew Pomerantz had, right? He's a lefty that doesn't have outlier, which I think is a good thing since most of the left-handed relievers do. Sinker, four-seam, slider, and slider's really disgusting on this one as well. He kind of has a funky delivery, and he also has a curveball. He's going to be pretty good, and I think that if you don't want another outlier lefty, this is probably the best one in the game. So go ahead and get this Brad Hand. He is at the top of A tier. Now, we are officially at the best of the best, and I might get flack for this one right away. But this is how I feel, and this is my list. So if you don't agree, go ahead and try him and see how good this card is probably going to be. He's going to be disgusting. Aaron Nola's 99 overall card from 2022. I think this card is going to be fantastic for a lot of the same reasons that I thought Nestor Cortez was, right? He's only going to get up to 95, 96 with that fastball. But he has 122 ball per 9. That par is going to be so small, coupled with how slow he throws. Every single pitch that you're going to want to throw is going to be exactly where you want it. The knuckle curve being a second pitch is definitely pretty good. It won't hang as much as it typically would. Then you get the sinker and the cutter are both different speeds than the four seam, which is amazing. Wish he had a slider, but the cutter will kind of compensate for that a little bit. And I think Aaron Nola is actually going to be really, really good. And he is going to be at the bottom of S tier for me. Now this one's going to be a little bit less controversial. Mad Max Scherzer is going to be in S tier as well. He has a perfect pitch mix. Essentially Randy Johnson without the outlier. And I say that because Randy has the slider slurve, so this is going to be the same just from the right side. This pitch mix is so good for a lot of reasons. A lot of pitches are going to go in to left-handed and out from right-handed, but they're all at different speeds, but you're going to have trouble timing it up. He's also going to have 116, 108 hit and K per 9, and 114 BB9. He's going to have really good control on all these different pitch speeds. His PCI is going to be really small. He's going to get over 120 at P5. And this is probably the best Max Scherzer we've ever had, so you're going to have to collect a bunch of cards to get him. But I am very surprised with how they did my boy Max. Usually he's not this good, so shout out to SDS for making him just a little bit better than he typically is. Next up is the only Colorado Rocky from this program, which makes sense. They were not very good this year, but Daniel Bard was 125, 117. He's gonna have outlier on a sinker, and if you guys have played Battle Royale this year, you know how good this guy is. He has a hard slider and a hard circle change also, which don't sleep on that. It's a pretty good pitch. This is going to be a really good guy out of the pen, and I think a lot of you guys needed some good bullpen work. So this is definitely a really good arm out of a team that doesn't have a whole lot of good representation. Next up in S tier is one of my favorite cards of this program. In fact, he might be my favorite card in terms of the fun I'm going to have with him, is going to be this Felix Bautista. Felix Bautista, he looks really good on paper. He's 6'5". There's something good about tall pitchers. Look at the Randy Johnsons of the world. Maxed per 9s at P5. Outlier on the fastball, splitter, slider, and a cutter. Slider and cutter is super interesting. They're both different speeds, and that is the key. They will play off each other very well, especially with how slow they are compared to the outlier fastball. I think this card is going to be maybe the best right-handed reliever in the game, if not for two guys above him on this list, but this one's really good. And now we are officially at the best of the best. This is going to be S+ tier. The other four that we just talked about, I think, are all amazing and should probably consider bringing into your lineup. These four should be there no matter what. Starting off with this Devin Williams, 99 overall, flashback finest 2020 Devin Williams. This one is even better than the current Devin Williams that we have because he has 5 pitches instead of 4. The slow cutter is amazing. He has a sinker. His changeup is his primary pitch. He has max per 9s. The only issue with this card is that he does not have the best BB9 and just control in general. If he did, if this card had 110, 100, and just even 100 BB9, this would be the best reliever in the game. Point blank, period. He's back. He's better. Welcome back to S+. Yohan Duran finally gets an upgraded card, 99 overall. He's going to have 117, 117, 107, which is just ridiculous. He's going to get up over 120 in both, have really good control, outlier on the fastball, double outlier on the splitter. That splitter is going to get up to 94 and 95. Then his curveball is way slower. I will say I am a little concerned because they switched out his cutter with a slider. I don't know if that's going to make him good, if it's going to make him bad, if it's going to make him cute, if it's going to make him sexy. I don't know. But if he plays anything like his 88, this card is going to be an issue, and you're not going to have a fun time. And I'm not going to have a fun time at all. I'm scared. Next up in S+, the second best pitcher of the drop that happened today is going to be 99 overall Corbin Burnes. You guys have seen Corbin Burnes all year. His live series was really good. Then we got his all-star card. We've seen him last year with his finest last year and his player of the month. So we have always seen Corbin Burnes. However, there has been a break between when his all-star card came out and now. And now the sinker is going to have outlier on it and not the cutter. Curveball, circle change, slider. Corbin Burnes comes out of the stretch, which is amazing. Corbin's always great, and this is going to be the best version of him we've had ever. Come on. Corbin Burnes, the second best pitcher of this drop. Number one is going to be a surprise to absolutely nobody. It's going to be 99 overall finest Jacob deGrom. He's going to have maxed out per 9s at just P2. 125, 125 at just P2. Plus 114 BB9. He's going to dot up pretty much everything. And it's Jacob deGrom. If you guys remember his all-star card from last year, this is better than that. Thank you, SDS, for not ruining our lives and bringing us this card halfway through the life cycle and just at the end when not as many people are playing. But I'm excited to use him. deGrom's awesome. He's the best pitcher in baseball. He's the best pitcher in this content drop by a mile. So there you guys have it. All 27 of the brand new pitchers that came into the game today in MLB The Show 22. Who you're going to add to your rotation, to your bullpen, and who you're the least excited about hitting. Also, let me know down below if you guys want to see more content like this. I do expect to have a finest hitters video coming out either later today or tomorrow. Most likely tomorrow. It's going to be on Saturday. I do want to get a feel for that. And there are way more hitters in this drop than there are pitchers. So we're going to have to actually take a deep dive into all of them and what makes them a little bit different. But thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.